Reporting live from Saddam Hussein's 2003 hideaway hole, I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is a very special episode of the Griot's Election Special.
Charlamagne, you previously called both Joe Biden and Donald Trump trash candidates.
From Dallas, Texas, the Flash, apparently official.
And you said you would vote in this election, but you would not endorse Biden.
The big man!
Now that he's out, do you think you might endorse Vice President Kamala Harris should she get the nomination?
Charlamagne the God says Josh Shapiro should have been Harris's VP pick. 5 takeaways from Kamala Harris's interview with Charlamagne the God. Anderson Cooper, Charlamagne the God fight on air over CNN Trump coverage. News headlines that seem eerily cater to a certain demographic. A demographic that I most likely belong to because 1. I'm a black woman in that 20 to 30 age group. I consume a lot of media, and 3, I love hip-hop culture. For many, well, actually for me, Charlamagne the God's consistent appearances in white media's political ecosystem has been frustrating to consume. My initial sentiments a mix between why him and why do I care?
And this girl was like, yo, I said, what you doing tonight? She was like, I'm doing whatever Charlamagne the God tells me to do. So it's like, we took her back to Monk's Corner, and like, when I said she F the team, she F the team.
I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griots, reporting on hip-hop culture through a mix of soapbox editorials, weird commercial breaks, and some very serious guests.
I met with Charlamagne at his radio studio to discuss the state of American politics.
One of our interns here, she said that you make music for gays.
I do.
I'm not the intern. I mean, she looked at me like...
What's wrong with that?
Nothing at all.
Nothing's wrong with it.
The first hip-hop show was created in 1983 by DJ Mr. Magic. Magic passed away in 2009, created the show Mr. Magic's Rap Attack with engineer Fly Ty. Music discovery and consumption back then was very different from what we have now. Hip-hop culture during its earliest formation faced a lot of stigmas, and Mr. Magic's radio show was one of the few public spaces that catered to a hip-hop audience. Along with playing exclusive tracks from upcoming rappers, Mr. Magic also reviewed verses and talked about the happenings in the New York hip-hop scene. This type of programming would be highly influential for the hip-hop radio shows that sprung up in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. You can listen to some of their recordings at the hiphopradioarchive.org. Radio broadcasting became a tool of information exchange comparable to print news in the 1920s. As radio got cheaper after the 30s and became more accessible to the middle class, hosts, disc jockeys, and/or presenters became familiar voices in our home and transit rides. My go-to hip-hop radio station growing up was Hot 106.3. I still vividly remember being trapped in the car with my parents, like extremely anxious, embarrassed, and uncomfortable as Pretty Ricky's On the Hotline serenaded our ride home. By 2010, the commercial radio station WQHT was dominating New York's hip-hop radio scene. You know them as 97.1 FM or Hot 97. The station had longtime heavy hitters in hip-hop culture like Funkmaster Flex and Angie Martinez. The same year, The Breakfast Club, the world's most dangerous morning show, hit airwaves on December 6 as a competitor to Hot 97. The 3 hosts included DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne the God. Yee left the show in 2022 for a solo endeavor with iHeartMedia, and Envy has been embroiled in bad press over the past few years. In an earlier press release from the show's creation, Charlamagne the God had stated, "I feel blessed and highly favored. DJ Envy and Angela Yee are 2 people that I've been fans of for a long time. I knew we were all moving the culture forward individually, but to be able to move the culture forward collectively under the Power 105.1 brand, it's something I could only dream of until now." The show's ratings grew steadily due to how guests were interviewed, and shortened recorded clips gained traction on social media. Along with promoting their respective projects, guests were kinda in the hot seat on the nationally syndicated show. DJ Envy and Angela Yee asked incendiary questions for sure, but it was mostly Charlamagne taking the lead, clearly aware of what attracted listeners and what made viral moments. By the mid-2010s, The Breakfast Club had a substantial influence in hip-hop media and a required press stop for most rappers. By 2016, their influence in Black popular culture transcended into mainstream white media. It wasn't just a press stop for black celebrities and artists, but politicians like Hillary Clinton.
On the radio show today, the calls have been non-stop with rumors about the split. And tonight, right here on My 9, Wendy sets the record straight.
In a nutshell, budgets. You know, radio, like all other businesses, is suffering right now.
And I can believe that. You know, it's a bad economic time all across the board, everywhere. So everybody's trying to pinch pennies.
I remember a scenario in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got this girl real drunk, and that sentence sounds a little fishy. I got her drunk. I didn't just get her drunk. I remember I went to the sex store and got Spanish Fly. Oh, so you raped her? Shut up.
Charlamagne the God grew up in the 80s in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Moncks Corner is a small southern town, less than an hour's ride away from Charleston, South Carolina. Along with a few NFL, NBA athletes, and a Bravo reality TV star, Charlamagne is the town's most notable former resident. In interviews, Charlamagne the God has described being raised deeply religious, and actually prefers the term spiritual to religious, and practices various faiths. His mother is a Jehovah's Witness, and his father is Muslim after converting from the Jehovah's Witnesses. In a 2018 interview with Relevant magazine after the release of his first book, Black Privilege, Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It, writer Tyler Daswick mentions Charlamagne quotes Bible scripture often in their conversation. The God comes from modest means. His mother was an English teacher, and his father, Larry McKelvey, as he's described, the man in Moncks Corner. He ran illegal nightclubs where everyone went, ran around in red leather pants, Clean Bee Party with Rick James. If you needed anything in Moncks Corner, you saw Larry McKelvey. After selling drugs for a while and finally getting frustrated with the dire straits of his life after a jail stint, Charlamagne got into radio broadcasting through an internship with a Charleston station. Truly enjoying the career shift and the decreased work anxiety that came along with selling drugs, he continued disc jockeying with local stations until a huge gig in NYC. Wendy Jones Williams is a pioneer in radio broadcasting and TV presenting. Her career, especially her notoriety, shaped the new generation of media personalities in Black media. The Jason Lees, Funky Dinevas, and a lot of celebrity blogger platforms have been shaped by her type of shows and persona. A persona that could be ruthless on the professional and personal lives of our favorite celebrities. This type of broadcasting was a perfect fit for Charlamagne the God, who acknowledged in his earlier days of his career, he would often drink and smoke to prepare for his radio gigs. In 2008, he was fired from his co-host position on the Wendy Williams radio show. Reflecting on the matter years later, Charlamagne viewed the firing as a blessing in disguise. The two colleagues didn't talk until 2019. That year, Williams filed for divorce from her ex-husband, Kevin Hunter. The rumors behind the scenes, and supported by statements from Kevin Hunter in 2022, were that Charlamagne had introduced Hunter to Sharina Hudson. Hudson and Hunter had an affair for many years and welcomed a daughter that year too.
Once the war against Saddam begins, we expect every American to support our military, and if they can't do that, to shut up.
Van, what are your thoughts?
It's
Unlike the other Black commentators whom the political media constantly solicits to explain what Black voters want, Van Jones, or Al Sharpton, or Bakari Sellers, Charlamagne didn't set out to become any kind of political authority, but he spied an opportunity, and then he cannily maneuvered himself to fit the role. And when the political establishment realized The Breakfast Club was an easy route to a young Black audience, it took a show that was built for breezy sensationalism and forced it to shoulder a very different burden. Rachel Hampton for Slate. Hampton's article, written 4 years ago, has aged beautifully. Like clockwork, as the new year began and the election cycle picked up for November 5th's big day, Charlamagne the God was the imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal media's go-to Black guy. It's a lucrative and influential gig. Jon Stewart cemented himself as America's voice of reason and the politics guy during the Bush administration. His fake journalistic news show, now the comedy world's most acclaimed hosting gig. Charlamagne the God has been respected for his political commentary on the Democratic and Republican campaigns, but the commentary is not ingenious, largely stuck to the liberal talking points, but was edgier due to his reputation for being unfiltered. Charlamagne the God's main concern during this election period was his money and safety as a black man in America. While he champions advocating for all people, especially black people, his history of misogyny and other problematic interviews on The Breakfast Club undermines the political rebrand. His initial critiques of the Biden administration and Harris's presidential bid were sized up by Fox News. The conservative media entity looks for any opportunity to capitalize on, look, there's a black person that's not stuck on the Democratic plantation. As the black male vote moved up in the Google keyword search, Charlamagne was there to be white media's black translator.
What's up with y'all in these drops, man?
I need a drop, son. I need a drop, baby. What's up? Come on.
To be fair, Charlamagne the God's political commentary this year wasn't too egregious, identifying Trump as a fascist, critiquing the media's relay of the election, and not being too sympathetic to politicians like Kamala Harris. But political commentary, especially made for primetime TV news or the most trending topic on social media, are just performing talking heads, each catering to their respective demographics rather than convincing detractors. I wrote this editorial as an excuse to connect politics to hip-hop and talk about the election, but now in the last few sentences of my conclusion, I find myself at loss for words, dissatisfied with the current conditions of America and if I have any hope left. I guess my frustrations with Charlamagne's political rebranding is the symbolism, a continuation of the status quo. Free Palestine, free Turtle Island, hands off Africa, hands off Haiti. Reporting from the east coast of the American Empire, I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griots. I wrote and produced this episode. Our theme song for this season is Jaws by Suzuki-san. Our Instagram and other cool stuff can be found on our website. Links are always in the description. Thank you to the ancestors. Until next time.